Am I incompetent? Am I not worthy enough? Especially if the other thing isn't jumping off yet, right? And it's like, so now I'm in this middle and I'm trying to be humble, but at the same time, you still have to be you. You still have to be on. You still have to have that same level of boldness, directness, everything that got you there. And I know that was a mistake for me. Hey there, good people. Dr. Vernita White here. I go by Dr. V. Thank you so much for joining me. So, if you've watched one of the other videos, this is another impromptu video, making the most out of my time here. And now I can get to the actual topic I wanted to talk about today. And it was something that's been happening. If you watch my Real Talk video, I don't know if I could insert anywhere. I don't think I've hit those numbers to get those special treatments. But there's a Real Talk with Dr. V video. It's about 50 something minutes long. And it was a lot of frustration coming out of that video, especially with people. And I have a business bestie, I call her my BB. And we're in a similar space of really walking into this entrepreneurship journey differently. And honestly, it's not even like the traditional entrepreneurship thing. It's really elevating and, having, I'm just going to say this mogul life because we have all these different, avenues. I'm learning how to really see ourselves as the brand and product. So with that comes a lot of resistance and things that I didn't realize were coming up or dealing with. And I've had some coaches now for 4 years now, and I've seen some amazing progress. And then in some areas, I'm like, what is the issue? And I know I have my own things and my own theories that pop up in my head about situations that happen. But then when she started saying some things, and then I started hearing this from other people, I'm like, okay, this is not just me. And that led me to wanting to talk about, especially for my parallelpreneurs. And I was a parallelpreneur for a while. My BB is a parallelpreneur. And what a parallelpreneur is, someone who's still in their full-time job, and then they're also building a business on the side. So more than just a side hustle. I think like a side hustle, don't get me wrong, some people have very lucrative side hustles, but that's like just something to do, or their hobby that happens to make money. So like it could be a t-shirt business, it could be I'll say like one of mine could be a side hustle is I have a wellness company where I have wellness supplements, so I don't have to make them fully myself, but it's like I talk about my products. If you want to join my team to do that, there's already like a well-oiled machine. Come on and keep it going. But if I was a professor at the time, I could still focus on being a professor, so I don't have to do too much on that end over there. I would call that like a side hustle. But my parallelpreneurs are actually, they still love their careers, and they're building an extension, a business as it relates. A lot of it is their intellectual property, their skill set. If you are, I have some people who were like therapists, or they were in the education space, know how to do program monitoring or manage project management and things like that. Then they may have started a consulting company or wanted to build speaking as a business. A lot of people I come in contact that want to work with me are professionals who go to conferences and present like their research or topics of interest for their professional organizations, and you really don't get paid for those. But then they want to go into the speaking business, which is very different, and that requires some systems and things in place. So building a business in that area, especially as a keynote speaker. So just some different ideas of parallelpreneur. A lot of them some of them want to go full-time into working for themselves, being entrepreneurs. And the others, they like what they're doing. They love being a professor, or they love their career. They love being a CEO of corporations. They love being a pharmacist, but then they're also building, this empire on the side. So parallelpreneur. And I still, even though this is my first this is my first year fully out of being a professor. I still have, and I'm realizing I still have a little bit of that identity of parallelpreneur. It's like, operating like an employee. And that can be detrimental. Well, that is detrimental to an entrepreneur. And I will even say to a parallelpreneur, because there is, and this is just Dr. Vism, there cannot be a 50-50 split between being an employee and being even if you're a parallelpreneur. I personally, this is just me, one of them has to be at the top. And the people I work with, they start leaning more towards the entrepreneur, the preneur part. So I guess we can change to professionalpreneur. I don't know, but anyway. But that led me to start thinking about certain things, because in my situation, I won't go back through my entire that video. You can go watch it, where people, in a sense, we like to say people are trying me, right? They try my life. They keep, these backhanded comments. And I had another one not too long ago. And part of it is, it's like, okay, what are you getting off of me to where you think you can talk to me this kind of way? So then my BB, she was giving me an example of something that was happening at her job. And she's a high level professional, and something about the training process or something, she didn't do it correctly from what her director told her. But in reality, no one told her that the whole thing had changed. So she was doing it like she had been doing it. And instead of the director coming at her like apologizing or saying, you're right, we didn't communicate this with you, she just kind of left it, well, it doesn't matter, it's fixed now. And so my BB was like, well, am I incompetent? Did I miss something? Like, why are people coming at me like that? And there have been other things that were leading up to that, like, her turning in some work and then coworkers nitpicking what she's doing, or having to submit something multiple times for it to be reviewed before it can go out, before the people where it's supposed to go, and how they're questioning and talking to her, even in her business of what she's doing. And I don't want to say specifically, but she's doing another business, and how people are approaching her in that business and certain things that they're saying to her and how they're treating her. And she was like, wait a minute, am I off? Am I a child? What is happening? And I realized that when you're in the parallelpreneur space, or even if you're starting off as an entrepreneur, you've been an employee for a long time, even if you were like that chick, that dude at that space, honestly, this is not, I know someone else, and it's a male, because I was going to say it's women, it's a male. He's trying to elevate into a different position, and his director, even though he's doing her work, she's been nitpicking about certain things lately. And I'm realizing all of this is starting when these people have said that they wanted to expand and do something differently, then all the other things started coming in. And it's funny, because the guy, he wants to start his own business. And so I'm like, there has to be something in here about this parallelpreneur purgatory or that transition, that shift of new entrepreneur, because it is a mind game. This is all a mind game. And that's what I'm realizing. It's like, yes, there are systems and strategies and structures and tips and tricks and, things to get things in place. But when you're making the shift to be working for yourself, and you've been an employee pretty much majority of your life, it's a lot happening. So what I want to talk about, I was going to talk about what we talked about, the fake humble part, because and I'll say that now, and then I have actual concrete things I want to share with you, and I keep doing this because my notes are right here. And from my example, and then now I have two other people. It's probably more, but two recent examples. Part of it is like keeping your head down, being a good employee, being a great worker, because you're already a superstar, and you don't really like show out too much, because it's like, look, I'm just gonna be here because you got some other things, planning on the side. So you're still showing up, but you probably have fallen back a little bit. And not that you're not doing what you're supposed to do at work, but you were already doing the most. So now you're giving them what they actually pay you for, or actually what they require, and not above. And I don't care what people, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's like you still get the job done. You're not showing up with any attitude. You're not being lazy. But now you're just not the overachiever there. Cool. And so it's like when you fall back a little bit because your mind is somewhere else, then people start coming at you like you did something wrong. And a lot of times you don't really check people at the job. You know, I remember I used to check people a lot, but then it's like, well, this is my livelihood. I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. Same thing with these two people. Like, look, I got some other things going on, so I'm just going to let you have it. But then the seed starts getting planted in your mind, and then it goes into your subconscious. And then now you start having these feelings of, am I incompetent? Am I not worthy enough? Especially if the other thing isn't jumping off yet, right? And it's like, so now I'm in this middle, and I'm trying to be humble, but at the same time, you still have to be you. You still have to be on. You still have to have that same level of boldness, directness, everything that got you there. And I know that was a mistake for me for a while, until I realized, like, whoa. Because right before the other video, I told you all that some people were still like shocked about certain things that I did. And I was receiving some backhanded or backhanded compliment, to where they try to compliment you, but it's still a dig at the same time. And that can weigh a lot on your mind. So the one thing I will say is, if you're in the space and if people keep trying you, like, once it's an identity, twice is a coincidence. No, once it's a coincidence. Once it's an incident, twice is a coincidence, and 3 times it's an identity. I know the 3rd time is an identity. I don't know if the first 2 are switched. But if it keeps happening, then it is ultimately you. Not that you're doing anything wrong, but you have to, like, what vibe or what energy are you giving off? And I know for me, it was some of that, let me be humble, let my work speak for itself. But that's not always true. You have to speak for you. So what my BB was saying, like, she had to speak of it. Her mom even came and said, you got to keep standing up for yourself. You know, it's like, you don't need to, this is not the time to be the good servant or be humble. And that's what I told this guy who's in the space, like, look, you still need to let them know. I know it's kind of like whatever, y'all can have them over y'all, but while you're still in that space, be humble, but still let them know. But what is really happening, and it's scientific, and I'm going to give you some practical things to think about. It is called intellecting versus implementing. And for a lot of us who are high achievers, and the people that I attract, especially to work with them, are people who are top performing. I consider them the elite of their industries or their businesses, or where they are in their corporate space or whatever, because they're not new to the position. They've been there. They've elevated. They know the game, the ropes. They know the game and all of that. But a lot of times when it's time to transition into parallel preneurship or full-on entrepreneurship, they're still leading with the intellect, like, up in the head. And that's me. Like, how can I keep thinking through and getting out of this situation? So what that may look like is, some of it is reacting. I know I did a lot of reacting. My BB has done reacting. The guy that I'm talking about, he's done a lot of reacting in the situations, because when we're reacting, that's like us still trying to figure out the problem in our head, right? And it's like when things come up, it's like I'm jumping at it. I got to say something. And that's different from being bold. It's like every time a situation comes, because think about it. If you've gotten to a certain place and you've gotten to a point, especially if you're in a leadership role, where people can talk and you can get a stupid email to come across, you can hear something and it just rolls off your back. But then when you start getting agitated more over the little dumb stuff, now you're reacting because there's something in your subconscious is like, okay, there's something not right. We got to figure it out. And so I'm going to read this. It says, do you know it? Or no, I don't want to read. I'm not going to go too deep in that because I can actually teach. I just want to give you some steps. The other thing, so you can kind of think about where you are, is if you're distracted. And this can go both ways. If you're distracted on the job by small things, or if you find yourself doing your business work on your job, that's not the way to go. And I know I used to do this. Like I would do a lot of stuff while I was a professor. I was writing my book as a professor. I was still doing speaking engagements that had nothing to do with mathematics as a professor. However, when I was trying to do that, instead of dealing with things at work, that was a distraction. But when I had everything at work done and I just had to be on campus, then I would do my business, that way. So see if you're being distracted by avoiding what's really happening on the job. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's landing for you. The other part is if you're doubting and worrying, that's when your intellect is taking over, because your intellect needs to find a solution. Like in your mind, it's like, I gotta find a solution. But if all hell is breaking loose at the job, and then your side thing or your business is not popping up, now you're like worrying, and now it's kind of like, well, maybe I am meant to stay here in this job, and I'm not. And now it can go both ways. For the people who want to take the leap, you could be doubting and worrying, well, maybe it's not meant for me to have my business. Maybe I'm supposed to stay here. For the people who want to be the parallelpreneurs and stay at your job, maybe you're thinking, maybe I'm not supposed to start that business. Maybe I need to keep all my focus over here. So you're worrying and doubting in those spaces. Another one is comparing yourself to others. I don't know about you, but I do this a lot, even though I say like, there's no competition. I'm my only competition, which is true. But then you start comparing yourself, and it's very subtle comparison, especially for us high achievers, because we are at the top of our game, and we know that we have arrived in some areas, but it's that comparison where you're not as confident or certain in a certain area, and someone's doing the thing that you want to do, and maybe they're further along, or they got there sooner, quicker, faster than you did. So sometimes it is easy to compare, and when you're doing comparison, that's when your mind is playing the tricks on you. Okay, so I'm just gonna just stop right there, because there's so much I can get into. Now, how to deal with that? How to and I'm saying it this way because I started with the part of being like fake humble and being the good servant, keeping your head down, but you're still having all of these attacks. Like now people are acting like you're incompetent and don't know what you're doing. They're trying you. they are trying you in life, and it's not always at the job. It can be in the business space too. Like things were happening to me in the business area, and with my my BB, things were happening to her on both ends. So it's not just on the job, it's the people in your entrepreneurship space as well. So the way to make sure that you're not feeling that, like when people are trying you, so that you're not holding on to that. That's a better way to say that. When you're not holding on to that, is just start creating things. Like, is there a video that you can create? So these last two videos have been impromptu because I had something planned and things aren't working out, and now I'm questioning, did I not do something right? It's like, whoa. Let me channel this energy and create something. So these next two videos might not be as polished, but for me, I had, that goes into one of the other ones, be in motion and build momentum. So those go together. Like when I get creative, and when I'm in motion doing something, and then this is my second one that I did right after I wasn't able to do the interview, I started feeling myself like, before the interview, I started feeling like, oh my gosh, none of this is working. Oh, what am I even doing? But then it's like, whoa. So I did the first video, got some things out. I felt a little better. Now I'm on this second one. So I'm in motion. I'm creating. I'm building momentum. I could do another one after this, but I don't know. I think I'm okay. I think now, I need to actually edit and actually get the product out there. And this one says serving and discovering answers. It's a lot more, but I'm just going to say serving. I feel like I am serving at this point, giving some information, allowing you to see my thought process. I used to do this a lot when I was teaching, especially mathematics, and my whole dissertation was about think aloud. So I think that's why I enjoy processing out loud, because I remember when I used to teach mathematics, especially to my sixth graders and even some of the high school students, and they were like, oh my gosh, you just know how to do it. So then I was like, well, yeah, they can follow the numbers or the sequence that I'm doing on the board, but they don't know how I'm getting to these steps. So this is before I did my dissertation. So I started talking out like, okay, why am I doing this step? and this is why I did the step. And students were able to be like, oh, okay, you think just like me, or that's what needs to go on in my head. When I did my dissertation, especially with leaders who were observing mathematics classrooms, it's like, well, can you talk me through what you're actually seeing and what you're writing? Because what you're seeing and then what you write is not the same. There's something that's missing. So talk it out as you're seeing it in action. And when we were doing that, and I could actually visualize their thinking, I was able to help them to understand what was really happening in the mathematics classroom versus something that was already pre-scripted on the paper that had nothing to do with mathematics. So me processing this it's like when you have that feeling of, why is everyone trying me? And then you look at the bigger picture of, okay, I'm expanding my life in certain areas. I'm doing this self-expansion. I'm growing. So that's why these things are coming. But if I'm feeling more of what I said, overwhelmed, like I'm comparing myself, I'm reacting to things, I'm distracting, well, then that's my mind trying to solve some problems that's not what we need to focus on. We don't need to focus on, do you know what you're doing, or why are you stuck? We need to focus on what I said, the implementing part. So staying out of our head and actually implementing, doing something. That's where you're getting your creative juices flowing, in motion, building momentum, serving people, whether, again, videos, telling them steps, helping someone either at the job or on the business, creating another product. Now, don't just be creating products just to be creating products, but if you know it's something that's going to help someone, and I think I said I was going to leave it at that. So it's really taking the action. And what I noticed with myself is those feelings disappear when I get into action, because now I'm operating at my highest self. When my V.ii.B.E got into action, when the things were going on at her job, she was like, here, this is what y'all want, I'm going to do that. Then she started working like on her newsletter. She's working on her ebook that she's about to do. She started doing stuff for her podcast. Like, she was moving. And then the guy I was telling you about to start his business, he was like, okay, y'all still are tripping, but I'm going to get the equipment that I need for my business. I'm going to start laying this out. We set up a session, so I'm going to make sure I talk to him and walk him through some steps for him to get started and things like that. So you have to get a momentum in action and implement and taking steps. That's what it means to get in radical action, to move. Because if you don't, then you're really going to spiral down. And a great person who understands themselves, one, can identify that you're about to spiral, but then to having the tools to say, whoa, let's plug it up. Let's plug that leak and let's start swimming back to the top. And that's really what this journey of entrepreneurship or parallelpreneurship is about. It's a mind game. And I'm realizing that more and more. And it's like, whenever you want to expand, understand those feelings. And then it's like, well, what can you do? And this probably could go for anyone, not even, you could be just at your career and you have no desire to start a business. But if you want to expand into your career, some of those same things will start happening. You'll start getting distracted. You'll start feeling overwhelmed. Everybody's going to start trying you. And instead of reacting and fighting back and doubting yourself and getting the woe is me, or I'm not meant to be here, leaving the job, all of those things, and they have their place. But go internally and get it, like, what can I do? What can I implement? How can I move forward? What action steps can I take? And I just gave you a few. Create something, get in motion. And it could be go take a walk. Honestly, I know there have been times I've gone at night. I'm not going to tell everyone to do that. I think my neighborhood is pretty safe, but I don't go far. When it's just like, okay, this is too much, I just get up and go walk. Another one, build momentum in something good. Get on that project. If it's not due for another 2 weeks, just start now, and don't wait. Just create something, get the momentum, build that, get your creative juices flowing, and let that momentum go, and then be energized and serve others about it. All right. So all of that to say, and let's tie this up with a nice bow, is being the fake humble or the good servant, keeping your head down, keeping your mouth closed. That's not going to work, because now it's going to turn inward. And I always say, I'm gonna pick my star player, and it's gonna be me or you, and I'm gonna choose me all day. And that's what choosing you looks like. When some people are coming at you in a way and making you feel incompetent, You don't always have to take it. I'm just gonna say that. I know some people may disagree, but we need to ask questions. Why do you feel that way, or what made you say this to me, or what information do you have to, assume that I didn't know something? Because especially if you're, I'm just for me, because I know what that can do long term and subconsciously if you don't start putting people in their place, right? And that's just me. You don't have to agree with that, but like I said, I can see over multiple people over multiple years where you not saying anything. Well, I'm just gonna be humble. I'm just gonna be quiet. They can have it. That's just not gonna work in a lot of cases, especially if it's an ongoing thing. All right. So let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to hear from you. If there's anything else you want me to expand upon, be sure to let me know. Like, comment, share. If you're like, you know what, sounds good, but I think I know someone who may need to hear this, please share and help me with this channel. And yeah, I'll be doing more conversations like this. And I have a lot of this book it's a lot of stuff over here in this book, and because I really want to help people not to go through some of the same struggles that I did, or some of the struggles my clients have dealt with. And not saying that you won't go through anything, but at least you'll know you're not alone. You'll know that you don't have to stay in that position, and then you have some tools and some strategies to get you out of that situation so you can keep moving and get to the level that you desire to be at. All right. So again, thank you so much for listening and learning with me. I'll see you next time, and remember to be well, be empowered, be bold, and be brilliant. Bye.